Hello there, lovely folks of YouTube. Ren here. I wanted to give you a little tour of the garden here. It is June. This is probably the only little garden video I'm going to make for June just because the weather has not been cooperating. It's been very rainy. You're not going to see me today because I'm a little bit of a hot mess. I've been really under the weather, just having a flare-up of some of my chronic health issues. But you can see, looking back in my little shade garden back towards my pond, it is definitely filled in quite a bit. Ignore my little compost bucket there. I was doing some weeding earlier. So yeah, I mean, the whole path back there is almost completely obscured, which is the goal. You know, the goal is to have it be obscured because then you just see that little path that leads back and it sort of entices you back there. So my stuff in pots is doing really well. You can see this guy's getting ready to bloom. This is my hyssop, true hyssop, Hyssopus officinalis. I've got my little calendula in the pot here is blooming, and then my clary sage is getting ready to send up a big flower spike too. So I'm going to try growing that in the ground again soon. I was not having much success with it. It is mostly a biennial. Has to survive until the second year in order to send up flowers, so this is the second year I've had it. I'm going to collect some seed from it and we'll try planting it in the ground and see how it does. You can see my chamomile, despite being kind of stomped down by the rain in the center around the edges, is just loaded with flowers that I need to harvest. That's a project for me to work on. My red-flowered yarrow is doing very well. So that's another one that's going to need harvesting soon. That guy back against the fence there, that's my one of my two Ella campaigns, or Inula helenium, that's also getting ready to flower. The one next to it doesn't look like it's going to flower this year. It might surprise me later on, we'll see. One of the guys here, it's kind of hard to see. Let's see if we can get in closer. These little red corn cobby looking flowers. This is a Greater Burnet, Sanguisorba officinalis. It's the first year that one's bloomed for me, so that's a little exciting development. I have my daylilies here. I don't remember the exact name of it. It's raspberry something. Raspberry surprise, raspberry sundae, something along those lines. But you can see it's kind of an unusual pink daylily. So I have this guy right here, right behind my little chair. This one's actually kind of a surprise for me. This is Woodland Tobacco. It's Nicotiana alata, I believe. I planted that last year. I was not expecting it to overwinter, and one popped back up again. So I don't know if it left some seed there or if it managed to overwinter. Either way, I'm happy to have it. So some of my plants getting quite big. This tall guy right here, almost as tall as me. This is Marshmallow. Hasn't flowered yet, but these leaves are so soft, and I just have to pet them every time I come by here. Oh, I take it back. There is a flower. Look at that! Marshmallow flowers! Yay! So that's going to be putting up a lot more flowers soon, I'm sure. Comfrey is doing its comfrey thing. You can see some of the older branches have just kind of flopped down under my feet here. I could probably remove those and add them to my compost. And all the new growth has popped up in the center with lots of new flowers for the bees. These ones I'm very excited about. These are my gardenias. They are really putting on a show this year. Usually I only get like maybe one or two gardenia flowers. So to have all these is phenomenal. This is the Gardenia Frostproof, which is one of the few gardenias you can grow in Zone 7, which is where I am. Gardenias like hot. So I was lucky to be able to grow these. Even growing these in Zone 7, I still have to protect them from the winter. I wrap them up in burlap every year, which is the only reason why they get as big as they've gotten so far. Hiding here in the gardenias, I don't think you can really make it out much. That little scape right there. That was, I mean, it still is, but it's not flowering anymore. It was the flower buds of my Aconitum napellus, monk's hood. So very short bloom period on it, but you can see that it is making some seed, so hopefully I'll get some more free seeding around here, and I'll have a bunch more monk's hood growing next year. I'm really happy that it flowered this year because I was not expecting that. I just planted it this spring, so for it to already send up a flowerscape was really exciting. Didn't last very long, but it was pretty while it was there. By the way, this plant super, super poisonous. So I even have to be careful handling it. People have gotten sick just from handling the plant. So be careful with that. You can see back here where it's really shady, some of my hostas are blooming. I don't remember the name of this one. It's, it has a name. They all have names, I just don't remember them all. It's not an Oreo marginata, but it's the opposite of an Oreo marginata, and I can't remember what that is. Oreo marginata basically just means gold edged, and this is obviously the opposite of that, because the gold coloring is in the center of the leaf instead of on the edge. So, it has a name. I'm sure it's in the email my mom sent me when she sent me those plants. But I don't remember what it was. This is another nice little blooming shade plant, a steel bay. Bridal Veil, I think is the name of this one. No real magical properties to this one, it's just pretty. And really, just being pretty can sometimes be magical in and of itself. Now there is a plant back here that is magical, that is blooming. You'll have to pardon the sound of all the heat pumps and everything. This one right here, this is Filipendula ulmaria. Sometimes known by its older name of Spirea ulmaria, or Meadowsweet is the common name on this one. Some of you who know your folklore may recognize this as one of the flowers that was used to create the goddess Blauduet. So, I don't know much about that particular mythos because I haven't read the Mabinogia yet. It's on my reading list. It's something that I will need to do as part of my homework in Blue Star, but I'll get to it when the time comes. I'm going to take you back over to the other side of the yard here, out of the shade bed, and I'm going to show you my vegetable beds as well. Oh, you can see my other daylily there, mirroring the one that I have back there. But yeah, I have planted some stuff in my veggie beds here. So this first bed here has peppers and eggplant right now. So the 4 big ones are my banana peppers. I got an earlier start on those, so those actually have some fruit that will be ready for harvesting in a few days probably. The little ones that I got a late start on are my jalapeno peppers. And then over on the other side, in the cages here, well, 2 cages and then 2 that really need cages, are my eggplant. And it looks like they've been hit by the flea beetles a little bit, so I probably need to come out with some neem oil. This trellis here, this is a movable trellis that I have. It's just PVC pipe with some paracord on it. And the PVC pipe actually sits over, I'll show you on this bed here, I have these little pieces of rebar that stick up off of the corners, and I just move the PVC pipe from one side to the other wherever I need the trellis to be. It's over on this side this year because I do rotate my crops. I had tomatoes in this bed last year and I don't want to grow them in the same bed. But under where the trellis is, can't see them yet, but sometime in the next day or two I've planted some cucumber seeds. One guy that I do have in there, the volunteer from last year, I had a watermelon in here last year and it looks like I must have missed one of the little baby watermelons. And it left behind a couple seeds that have turned into a new watermelon plant. So we'll see. This bed over here is where I've done my tomatoes this year. And I have zucchini. A single zucchini right now, but in a couple weeks I'll be planting a second zucchini so that I can have rotating zucchini because they do tend to get hit by the squash vine borers pretty regularly here in my garden. It's the one thing I can't really spray for because they dig inside the plant. But my tomatoes are getting nice and big, and usually I get fruit off of them by the 4th of July, so hopefully that will maintain consistency throughout this year. Trying a new trellising method for them this year, which is something called the Florida trellis, where you just put the stakes in between them and then just kind of wrap wire or twine on either side just to kind of hold it. It's sort of like a very low labor method of trellising tomatoes. So I'm going to give this one a try and see how it does. See how long I manage to keep it up. Some of these are probably going to need another level pretty soon. Oh, this guy. Oh, I don't know if you can see it right here. It's just the tiniest little cherry tomato. So this one right here is my cherry tomato, and I think it's a black cherry is the name of this cherry tomato. My other 4 tomatoes are called the Bisignano tomato. It is a tomato that I got from Victory Seed. Oh gosh, a good 5 or 6 years ago. They are a seed company that does all heirloom, open pollinated seeds. Bisignano's a Italian oxheart tomato. And it's really good for both fresh eating and for sauce making, and I like to do both. It's an indeterminate, so it will just kind of keep making tomatoes as long as the year is long. So I just continually get tomatoes off of these guys, which is good because I usually don't have like a one dedicated day for sauce making. I will just throw tomatoes in the freezer and then maybe make sauce out of them when I have the time. But it's a delicious tomato. It's my favorite tomato that I've grown so far, and the only one that I've gone back to year after year after year. So all of these tomatoes I grew from seed because typically I can't find those tomatoes already started in the garden center. So and a couple other things I have here. I did clear this out a little bit, so raspberries are doing really well this year. I won't get any fruit. I just planted these this year. Well, actually no, that one in the back there and this one right here were here from last year, but it was kind of struggling before, so I'm giving it a little more space and hoping that it does a little better. And thus far it does a little better. Honestly, I'd be happy just to get the raspberry leaf in a good quantity. The fruit is kind of a bonus for me. So, and then my blueberries are almost done. I still have the bird netting on them, but there's just a couple blueberries left. I should probably pull that off this weekend. So yep, now I'm going to finish this. I'm going to show you just a little bit that I have in my cold frame here. There's a few plants in pots that are waiting to be transferred over to a friend of mine once I have a good time to do so. But I do have these little seedlings here. See if I can get a better focus on these guys. Probably not. These little guys are Henbane Seedlings. So I just moved them from inside. They got a late start. I'm not sure why. I honestly had almost given up on them. I didn't think they were going to sprout at all, and then all of a sudden, boop, there they are. So they're outside now, and in my cold frame where they can get a little bit of shelter, and I can do bottom watering for more consistent watering to make sure they don't dry out. And we'll see how they do, and hopefully, I'll have some henbane in my garden starting this fall. So anyway, I'm going to end it there. I hope this video finds you well, and I will see you again soon.